Hi everyone, it's Millie here, your inner critic expert. So today let's talk about decision making, something that we all have to do on a regular basis. So have you ever found yourself like really struggling when you even have to make a very small decision in your life or your business? So what about, being in the cereal aisle in the supermarket, you spend 10 minutes, you wheedle it down to, two brands, and you're just completely frozen, not knowing which one to choose. Or you might be thinking about putting a photo up on social media and you spend hours just agonizing over which one you're going to put up. So if you've experienced this, you're definitely not alone. We all go through it. And the culprit behind the paralysis, it's often not indecisiveness. It's that inner critic voice that sits inside of your head. And yep, we call it a really pesky voice in the head. And it can make choices. Making choices, it can make it feel like it's a real make or break moment in life. So today we're going to dive into why your inner critic makes decision making feel really hard. And more importantly, how can we actually break free from like that grip of self-doubt and indecision when we're trying to make choices in life? So we're going to start with the basics. What is your inner critic voice? And why does it seem like it's having a real field day when we try and just make a simple decision in life? We call it a little voice inside our head, but sometimes it feels humongous and massive and in your face. And your inner critic voice loves to thrive on fear, self-doubt, negativity, and it'll tell you what's wrong. What is this? What if this is the wrong choice you're making? What if people think I'm stupid? What if I actually regret my choices later? And it doesn't always show up when you're making a really big decision. It can show up in the really little ones as well. And the voice can make like any choice, no matter how small, feel like a monumental, humongous task. And the inner critic really loves magnifying potential negative outcomes of any decision. It'll tell you that you're going to make the wrong move. And if you do, you'll face, really dire consequences. People are going to judge you harshly and all the other things it loves to say. And it loves to underestimate your ability to handle, whatever's going to come next. And it might say, things like you're not good enough, you're going to fail, you're really going to mess this up. And it likes to create a false sense of urgency or like self-importance. And every decision becomes like loaded with like high stakes, and it feels like it could be the end of the world if you actually make the wrong choice. And I bet this sounds really familiar to you because many of us live with this voice daily, just on constant rerun, and we don't always realize it. And it can lead to, like real struggles when we're trying to make major decisions in life, and we hesitate, we overthink, we second guess ourselves. And in the end, we can actually avoid making decisions altogether just so we can escape away from the stress of having to, actually make that final choice. But one thing that needs to be clear is the inner critic is not always telling the truth. It pretends to be, but it's actually a safety mechanism, and it tries to protect you from any perceived danger. And it does it by actually holding you back. And believe me, having lived that way for a long time, it's no way to live. So how do you stop your inner critic from actually sabotaging your decision-making process? So let's talk some solutions. So I've got a couple of strategies that you can use to silence it and take control and allow your inner cheerleader to speak up. And the first tip is give yourself permission to make imperfect decisions. A lot of times, the inner critic will blow everything out of proportion, make you feel like every decision has to be perfect, and it doesn't. But the truth is no decision is 100% risk-free, and that's okay because we can change things. And when you allow yourself to make a choice, even if it's not the perfect one, you take away the power from your inner critic voice. So try saying this. This doesn't have to be the right decision forever, and I can make adjustments or I can change things if I need to. And the second strategy is super practical. Set a time limit for your decisions. If you find yourself stewing over a choice for way too long, the inner critic gets loud and more persuasive, set a time. Give yourself a specific amount of time to consider what option you want to actually take. And once that time's up, make your choice and move on. You can always change things. So if you're deciding where to eat for dinner, give yourself sort of 5 minutes and make a choice. If it's a bigger decision, say for a very special occasion, give yourself all day or maybe tomorrow, but avoid endless overthinking. Just make a choice and move on. And one thing to remember is that decision making is like any other skill that we have. It gets better with practice. The more we do it, the better we get. And the more decisions that you make, the more confident you become in your ability to actually handle the outcome. And whether it, looks good, bad, or ugly, or somewhere in between, it doesn't matter. You can change it. And the more you silence your inner critic, the quieter it becomes, the more your decision-making process becomes easier, and it allows your inner cheerleader voice to, move you along. And at the end of the day, the inner critic voice, it might always be there in the background, but it doesn't have to control you. And the key is actually recognizing when it comes in and tries to influence all the choices, and use the tools like setting a time limit or give yourself permission to actually be imperfect, because you can make changes later. So decision making is a part of everyone's life. And every choice you make, whether it be big or small, it actually builds confidence and momentum. So next time you find yourself agonizing over a decision, remember it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be made. And you can always change it later. So thanks for watching today. And if you found these tips to be really helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And please drop a comment below and let me know how you actually deal with your inner critic voice, because I'd really love to hear your experiences as well. And remember, the more decisions that you make, the more you'll realize that your inner critic isn't always right. And that's okay, because you have the option to go back and change it later on. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.